Is September the 11th, the 22nd anniversary of the worst terrorist attack on the United States. You know, I walked by Ground Zero on the way here. It seemed like just another day, albeit it's later in the afternoon. But a lot of people have forgotten. And a lot of Democrats have so forgotten it that they just meld it all together with Pearl Harbor and January 6th. Kamala Harris actually tried to convince you that January 6th was just like 9/11. Take a look.
Not only a place on our calendars, but a place in our collective memory. December 7th, 1941. September 11th, 2001. And January 6th, 2021.
I don't know who wrote that for her, because she clearly doesn't write her own speeches, but that's one of the most idiotic things I've ever heard in politics. My first guest represents Wyoming's at-large district, Representative Harriet Hageman. Before we get into any topics about the budget or impeachment inquiries, how do you react to that? The vice president comparing January 6th to 9/11.
Well, it's just part of the messaging that they go forward with. It's what they do with so many events in history. They attempt to conflate things that are going on today with absolute tragedies. And what it is to make sure that people of this country do not understand history. They're covering up the things such as 9/11 and ignoring the significance of that by equating it to January 6, 2021. It's an absurd comparison. Everybody knows that, but it's just part of their ongoing messaging.
I'm old enough to remember when Joe Biden tried to belittle Rudy Giuliani by saying when Rudy Giuliani speaks, he says a noun, a verb, and 9/11. I can't imagine someone like Joe Biden being at the helm on that day. It's so beyond sad how these people think, I guess, if you can call it that. All right, let's talk about going forward here. Do Republicans have any plan to score any victories in the upcoming budget fight before a potential government shutdown?
Well, absolutely, Andrew. I believe that we do. In fact, I just got off of a conference call addressing that very fact. We're talking about what our priorities are. The situation is definitely fluid, but we need to focus on what the priorities of the American people are, and that is we need to close our borders. We need to have border security. We need to be addressing the ongoing war against affordable energy. We need to be pushing back against the radicalization of so many in the Biden administration. And those are all priorities that I can tell, at least from the freshman standpoint, we are all moving forward with. So I absolutely do see that we're going to be having some victories in this battle. People in this country know that we're spending far too much. We cannot go back to a 2023 budget. We cannot go back to omnibus spending bills. We have been overspending for so long. It's part of the reason we have the terrible inflation that we do. And there are people like me in the House of Representatives that recognize that it is now time. The rubber has hit the road. We're running out of runway. We have got to do something about the profligate spending by the United States government.
I saw over the weekend that Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez referred to inflation as right-wing propaganda. Does she think that does she think we're making this stuff up, or does she not understand that regular people know exactly what inflation is because they deal with it every time they go to the grocery store to fill up their tank?
Well, it's one of the problems that you have when you do not have a mainstream press that is willing to actually address facts and call people like AOC out when she makes absurd comments like that. Even the federal agencies are saying that we're spending over $700 a month more now than we were just 2 years ago. I don't know how anybody with a lick of sense could actually argue that talking about inflation is right-wing propaganda. The truth is out there for all of us to see. We're spending $4.50 a gallon for gasoline. Our energy, our heating oil is going up. It's costing more for air conditioning in our homes. Food has skyrocketed. I mean, I don't know when the last time was that she actually went to a grocery store, but I went yesterday and I bought 3 bags of groceries and it was over $180. I mean, it is ridiculous what we're spending. And again, it is because of the inflation. It is because of printing and spending way too much money at the federal level. And we have got to get control of this budget.
Joe Biden just took 13 million acres of federal land off the table for oil and natural gas exploration. We know that fuel prices are driven by futures. Just real quick, what does that mean to people in Wyoming if we have this massive uptick, this spike in home heating energy?
It causes everything to increase in price. I have said over and over again that there is a special place in hell for people who adopt policies that are intended to increase the cost of housing, energy, and food. And yet almost every single decision that this administration has made since they took office in January 21 have been focused on doing exactly that. At this point, the inflation isn't transitory. It's not accidental. It's not just an unknown byproduct of the decisions that they've been making. This is intentional. They know that it is going to increase the cost of every single one of those by shutting us out from being able to exercise and use the resources that we have in Alaska and Wyoming and elsewhere. So whether you're trying to run a center pivot to irrigate your alfalfa, or you're trying to run an oil and gas well and you're an independent oil and gas producer, or you run a diner, or you have a local implement dealership, every single one of those businesses feel the pinch of increased energy costs. This isn't, again, accidental. This is something that is intentional. Our administration has gone to war with the American people.
It is just, seeing this president is so bizarre. He's the first president since 9/11 to not be here on 9/11. He's in Alaska. He had some rambling speech in Hanoi where his staffers had to cut his mic and then bring up some kind of soft, easy listening jazz music. I just don't think the man is all there. And I think what we're seeing is the evolution of Barack Obama, Neera Tanden, and John Podesta basically running the show.
I think that that's absolutely true. I don't think anybody who's being really honest about the condition of Joe Biden is going to say that he's the same person he even was 10 years ago. We're all seeing the decline, and it is manifesting itself in all kinds of bizarre actions on the world stage. But as you say, the question is, who's actually running the show? And you're right. You've got Barack Obama. You've got John Podesta. He handed him over $300 million just to go out and push forward with the Green New Deal. I mean, it is absurd what they're doing in terms of their policies, and it's ultimately extremely detrimental to the citizens of this country. And that's why I say we have a federal government that has gone to war with the citizens of this country.